Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to welcome back to Geeks Watch. Damn, I got thinking about too many things at the same time. Anyway, welcome back to Geeks Watch. Today I want to talk about the 2009 film by James Cameron, Avatar, an image of which you will see here. There will be spoilers. I'm pretty much going to outline Act 1. Then we'll talk about some background stuff and my thoughts of the film. So, spoilers for Act 1. The main character is a guy named James Sully. He is a Marine who, in combat, lost the use of his legs. He is a paraplegic. His twin brother was part of the Avatar program to study the Na'vi on the planet Pandora. Avatars are grown using the genetic material. They're basically clones in an alien species, basically the Na'vi. So they've cloned a Na'vi body for using his brother. Since his brother's dead, he's a genetic match. So he is sent to Pandora to work with the scientist team there. The military commander of the expedition tells them that if he kind of gets the natives to behave themselves, they'll pay for the surgery to fix his legs. The reason this whole expedition is here, there's a business conglomerate wants to mine a very rare mineral resource on the planet that is in areas where the Na'vi are living. So they want to get the Na'vi to leave and let them mine, strip mine the planet. The scientific team, led by a woman named Grace, does not like the military forcing this guy into her team. She considers him a liability. He has no training, no scientific experience. But he goes to the planet, he winds up meeting the natives, and because they treat him as a warrior, and they're a warrior people, they respect him more than, in some ways they respect him more than they respect Grace, who's been there for months, at least months. I'm not sure how long she's been there, but she's been there at least months to try and develop a working relationship with them, and he does it like practically instantly. And he winds up, becoming more involved with the natives and less interested in the military and the corporate aspect of it, and aligning more with the scientists and the Na'vi. That's pretty much Act 1, and you can see where it's going to go from there. So, James Cameron actually had the idea for this back in the early 90s. Actually, he wrote a story kind of like this back when he was a teenager, which he then made a short film of, which then he tried to expand the idea into a full-length feature film. When he originally had the idea to do the full film, he didn't think that technology existed in order to make the science fiction epic he wanted to. So he kind of thought about doing it after he made Titanic, which was made in 1997. He wrote the initial screenplay in 94 and figured he'd work on it after he finished Titanic. And he still sat on it for a while because he still didn't think technology was ready. It wasn't until after films like Lord of the Rings, the motion capture of Gollum, and other subsequent films that used motion capture that he thought, okay, technology exists that will let me make the film I want to make. He still had to work with Weta Workshop, Weta Digital, and he basically took the existing technology and magnified it for motion capture for the Na'vi. The Na'vi are like 9 foot tall blue aliens. So the actors who were playing them were completely motion captured, and digitally put in the film. And as far as that goes, this film is a work of art. The seamlessness of bringing the Na'vi to life, and there's virtually no issues of what you call the uncanny valley when they don't do a good enough job to make them realistic. It helps that they're aliens; they don't have to match us perfectly, but they do it close enough that it's like they did a superb job of bringing the Na'vi to life. And the alien world of Pandora. James Cameron worked a lot to create a culture. They created a complete language for the Na'vi. James Cameron went as much whole hog on this as he did with the details in the Titanic. So, he goes all out. in trying to get the film made, he initially worked with Warner Brothers, and they kept trying to make budget cuts and changes to the script. And he got sick of it and tried to go. He approached Disney after he decided not to go with Warner Brothers, and Disney, unsurprisingly, tried to take over production of the film. So he ditched Disney. I want to go with 20th Century Fox. One of the people who did greenlight the massive budget of the film basically said, "I'm not sure which is crazier, us giving you this money or you trying to make this film," because the budget was like $237 million, and virtually all that was on special effects and CGI and motion capture, because there were very few practical sets for this film. There were some, the military base, other things like that, but still a ton of CGI. I can't imagine having to work with as much green screen as they had to for this film. Where do we go from that? Production, Disney, CGI budget. Yeah. Trying to remember my train of thought. Oh yeah, budget film stuff. When the film was released, a lot of movie critics predicted that this film would fail. They really did. They figured James Cameron's off his rocker. He has no idea what he's doing. There's too much CGI, too much motion capture. This will never fly. And then the film broke box office records and made, on a budget of $237 million, it took in like $2.4 billion. So score 1 for James Cameron, 0 for the critics. Yeah, this film was a smash hit. I saw it in the theater and I thought it was amazing. I loved this film. But that's not to say it's without criticism. And there was a lot of it. And not just from people who like expected the film to bomb. After the film came out, people reviewed the film. Depictions of the Na'vi were based on American Indians. And while I am not Native American, I mean, I think I've spoken previously about being 4th generation. Well, 3 of my great-grandparents were immigrants. The 4th one can trace ancestry back to before the revolution, but so I do have some Native American ancestry, but it's so diluted. I shouldn't even forget it. It's not worth mentioning. I don't have that much. Strike that. Reverse it. Thank you. So basically, I'm a white guy commenting on this, but there were parts of this where, like I said, James Cameron, I think, meant to be, you know, respective of Native American culture, American Indian culture. But even I, watching the film on its first viewing, thought, this does not feel good. There were a couple instances. There was also the white savior trope, where, you know, James Sully, an outsider, comes in and is a better Na'vi than the Na'vi themselves. He, the white outsider, can save them from, you know, the colonial people. They can't save themselves. It's got to be Jake Sully. So, and the mineral that they're mining, the rare precious mineral, is called unobtainium. And even watching the film, it's like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Unobtainium. They couldn't think of a better word. You know, I've read lots of sci-fi and fantasy, and there's all kinds of different, like, unique elements and things of that nature that have better names than unobtainium. That's just stupid. But there's, you know, there were, from the American Indian various tribes, there were mixed reviews of this. Some of them criticized him for cultural appropriation. Some of them thought he did a good job. So mixed reviews from the people he was borrowing from. There was also criticism of his depictions of colonialism. I mean, his intention was to show that colonialism is bad. You know, the evil corporations and military, you know, obliterating the natives to try and get what they want. that was his intent, to show that that was bad, but there are people critical of him for saying he overdid it, or that's just not true. Things don't happen that way. But be that as it may, this is still a good film. Oh, other things. James Cameron spoke about his inspirations for this, and he cited both Edgar Rice Burroughs and John Carter of Mars, and he also cited Dances with Wolves. And after leaving the theater, I did think this is like Dances with Wolves in space, which similarly has a white guy going to living with American Indians, and going native, becoming learning more about their culture, becoming one of them against the white man. So very, very similar story and premise between this and Dances with Wolves. Maybe I'll do that one next. Much of the design for the Na'vi and some of the aliens was done by Wayne Douglas Barlow, who is a science fiction artist. He is known for doing book covers and things like that, but he's also responsible for doing some creature designs in some of the Riddick films, and also some of the creatures in Hellboy and the kaiju in Pacific Rim. So I'm a huge fan of Wayne Douglas Barlow from way back, from like my middle school years, my preteen years. I've spoken about my love of fantasy art, fantasy and science fiction art, and Wayne Douglas Barlow is like one of my faves. One of the half a dozen authors from the 60s and 70s and 80s that I can name. And yeah, he is a good creature designer. So if you know his artwork, you'll recognize his style in the creature designs on the film. But in spite of my misgivings and my criticisms and my agreements with some of the other criticisms of the film, it's still a fun movie. I have not seen any of the other films. Not interested. I may get around to it one of these days. But having said all that, I think this is a great popcorn film. Don't think about it too much. Make a big bowl of popcorn, put your favorite seasonings on it, which is a lot of salt and pepper for me. Not a butter and salt for me, not pepper. No pepper in popcorn. Salt and butter on your popcorn. Make a big bowl of popcorn, put your favorite seasonings on it, and just let your brain roam free for a couple of hours. This is a long film, by the way. I don't remember how long. I think this is a 3-hour film. I don't remember offhand. Is it here? Yes, it's 100. Holy crap, 162 minutes. It's almost 3 hours long. It's 18 minutes shy of 3 hours. So, as always, thanks for watching. As always, my stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.